There's a lot of things that I have endured in my life that I don't necessarily like that have happened to me, right? A lot of the things might just be because of my culture, because of just the way that everybody has always done certain types of things, right? Which includes cultural practices, some maybe even generational practices, and whatever it is. Now, here's the thing, get to the point of the video, it's literally that we need to make sure that the next generation doesn't face these exact same problems that we do. Now, I am of the opinion that if you want to see change, you have to change yourself first. See, people can go ahead and try to change the world. People can blame society however much that they actually want to as well, right? But it's always been about, if you can change yourself, then society will change. And that is the focus that I feel like everybody should have. If every individual had this focus that I'm just going to become the best person possible, the person with the best character, I don't gossip, I don't do anything, then I do feel like that as a society we can definitely progress. And that really just goes across all cultures and all parts of the world as well. So, for example, even in our culture, even in American culture, there's something that's very embedded within us that, oh, it's somebody else's problem, somebody else will deal with it. We obviously see this all the time. Whenever we see somebody suffering on TV, we always say to ourselves that, like, yeah, I don't want to really attend this protest because it's very inconvenient to me. Well, protests are supposed to be inconvenient. That's the entire point of a protest, because there's injustice happening to somebody else, so that is why you are inconveniencing yourself so somebody else can get justice served to them. So whenever you're facing injustice, somebody else would inconvenience themselves by attending a protest, by trying their best to make a change in the world, and then you'll get your justice as well. That's how the world should hypothetically and idealistically work. Obviously, is that how it works? No, not necessarily, right? So what ends up happening is that every single person, there's about 300 million people in America, every single person goes ahead and just says, yeah, that's not my problem, somebody else will deal with it. And this cycle keeps on going on and on. And this is something that I've talked about in another one of my videos about just the bystander effect, where it's just people just think that somebody else is going to take responsibility of a certain situation and then fix that problem. And in reality, that literally never happens. So how does this relate to us, and how can we help the next generation? And if you are somebody who is just growing up, you still have a part to play in this as well, because you need to obviously go ahead and start thinking about the next generation after you. So look, here's the thing. I'm a firm believer that we should absolutely stop the mentality of that, hey, just because somebody else inflicted a certain level of pain on me, just because something happened in my life that people did me really wrong, and I was given the explanation that, oh, that's just how things have always worked. We need to get rid of that mentality first and foremost. If we have had to endure it, then we should make sure that nobody else has to ever endure it after us. So that is how we get rid of generational curses. That is how we get rid of generational trauma as well. That we end up becoming the last generation that actually has to face this type of pain, these atrocities that have happened to us, and that we don't inflict it upon the next generation. So we need to make sure that we do that. So obviously we need to go ahead and make sure that we actually do that. If you end up becoming an evil person because of the pain that somebody else inflicted on you, and you just say that, oh, things were just like this, so I'm going to continue progressing, and I'm not going to make society any better because it's society's fault, it's not my fault. You yourself are partaking in the societal practices that you have deemed evil and immoral. So what makes you any better than the society that you so-called criticize? You should only provide criticism if you are willing to make a change within yourself. Everybody has lofty dreams about how they're going to change the world. I did as well. But then I realized that how hard it is for me to change myself and my own habits and my own pattern of thinking. So then I started to work on myself instead, because I knew that if I changed, then somebody else's life can be better. Because it's much easier to talk about change than to actually put in the effort in that. And you'll see this from everybody. I've talked about this before as well, that the people who criticize the most, the people who prey on other people's downfall the most, are literally people who don't want to put in any effort in changing their own situation, changing their own character, their speech, their thought patterns, whatever it is. They have absolutely no interest in maximizing their potential, so they want to drag everybody else down as well. I don't want us to do that for the sake of the next generation. I want us to make sure that we are the last generation that had to endure any type of pain. And this can literally be anything that you have endured as well. I don't necessarily have a certain example to give you because examples can change via cultures as well. So whatever example that you can possibly think of a certain pain that was inflicted upon you when you were a child or even when you are as an adult, make sure that you don't pass it on to somebody else. Make sure that you're the last person in your family that actually has to face that type of pain, that anxiety, that overthinkingness, and leave it at that. And I'm certain that the thought is probably occurring to you that why didn't our parents and our elders do the same exact thing for us? Well, the fact of the matter is you don't know if they did that for us or not, because there's a lot of stories that you'll potentially hear at like family gatherings and whatnot, which you have never heard of before, but you're like, wait, you guys actually went through this? How did I not know about it? And you're like 20 years old now, and this is the first time that you're hearing something like this about it, right? And that is thanks to our parents, that is thanks to our elders literally just not wanting to pass that same trauma down. So they've literally like hid those stories away. So it's not even a part of our lives. So we don't know if they did their part or not, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt and let's not blame all of our problems on the older generation, and let's take some responsibility and be the change that we actually want to see in the world. And let's make the world a better place for the next generation. Like, what are we doing just whining about our lives, about how difficult they are and whatnot? Okay, cool. Maybe we got the short end of the stick, but let's make sure that the next generation doesn't, because sometimes that's really all that you can do. Anyways, guys, this was episode number 129 of the Daily Lessons podcast. If you guys enjoyed this message, then please make sure to hit that subscribe button because it means the absolute world to me. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.